You'll load into the circular room, your little legend will be available, as will all the others. A set of characters will be rotating around the center, each with an item above their heads. You need to line yourself up and go and get one of them. If you don't get any, a random one will be assigned to you, and really your decision that you make here is not going to make that significant a difference on the game. You'll start to learn certain items that you like or certain characters that you'll go for, but at the start, it really doesn't matter. You take the character that you grabbed and you place them onto the board. You usually want to put aggressive warriors or bruisers up front, where you want to put mages and assassins or sharpshooters in the back. There's going to be different traits on these characters that you're going to want to look for, and it'll give you an idea of where they should be. When hovering over a character, it'll give you some details about it, such as the ability this character is going to have. So this will read out and kind of tell you what happens when this character's energy reaches full. It'll show you the items and what they do, as well as the stats. The attack damage is how much it does with the basic attacks. The ability power is how much modified the abilities get. The magic resistance is how much magic reduction, and armor how much physical reduction you take. Attack speed is how many attacks per second you make. Attack range is how many hexes you can reach for. Critical strike chance is the chance of dealing increased damage. And the critical strike damage is how much increased damage you deal. Critical strikes only happen on basic attacks for the most part, and some things in the game will change that to magical attacks, but you need certain items or effects for that to take place. Alright, so once your character's in place, 2 enemies are going to spawn. These are just basic enemies, they're NPCs, they're not significant, and your character should be able to just take them out. They'll use their ability whenever their mana bar or the blue bar gets full. They'll gain a certain amount of mana per attack, and that can change depending on characters as well as items. Once the enemy is defeated, a blue orb with a question mark is going to show up. You have to go pick that up to gain some items or new characters. If you did not get a new character in the first orb, you'll want to buy one from the shop at the bottom. The shop is the main way to get new characters within the game. It'll have a list of 5 characters currently available and their cost. It'll tell you how much gold you currently have. It'll give you the chances of the different tiers of characters to show up within the shop. Currently 100% chance for gray or tier 1 characters, but that will change as you gain levels in the game. Your level really shows just your current state of this particular match and is not something that is retained from game to game. You can spend 2 gold to hit the refresh button, which will change which 5 heroes are currently available. You're going to want to use this regularly throughout the game to try and find the characters that you're looking for, either ones that are currently on your board or ones that would well augment the characters that you have. The buy XP button costs 4 gold, which we currently can't afford, but it would give us 4 experience points, 1 per gold that we spend. Currently, we are 2 experience points away from leveling up from level 2 to level 3. At the end of each match, you gain 2 experience points, so after killing these next set of minions, I will gain 2 points and level up to level 3. You might want to use this buy XP button in the future throughout the game to push yourself up to a level, which will allow you more characters on the board. You get 1 additional character on the board for every level that you have. New characters will go onto your bench, which is this thin row here where you can see Kane. Your bench can hold up to 9 characters that you could hold on to and possibly put into play later in the game if you gain a larger team size or you decide to swap characters. The character category Mirage gives a different benefit to the other characters each game. You have to hover over the Mirage icon to see what Mirage is going to give. Hovering on top of your current gold will tell you what your income is. So that will be your passive income, 5 gold at the end of each match, your interest incurred, which is 1 gold for every 10 gold you currently have, the amount of gold you're going to gain from your win-loss streak, which is indicated by that icon to the right. I have 1 win at this point, as well as how much extra gold you're gaining per win. The numbers in this can change a lot depending on how much money you're currently making, as well as if you're on a high win streak or a high loss streak. If you're losing a lot, you'll get some like pity money, and if you're winning a lot, you get some bonus income, as well as there's ways to get more gold per win. Passive income is always going to be 5, and then the interest, of course, is on how much money you make, but it caps out at 5. So at 50 gold and higher, you gain 5 extra gold per turn. The last piece of the shop is the lock icon. If you click this icon, the characters currently displayed in your shop will not switch at the end of the match. If this is unlocked, at the end of each match, the current available character list will swap to a new list, and if it is locked, they will stay the same. If I wanted Varus here, he costs 3 gold, which would put me down to 19. At that point, my interest would go down by 1, and I would make 1 less gold at the end of the turn. If I think getting Varus is not going to win me this match, I would wait, lock it, and purchase Varus after I've made that interest increase. Let's get back to the game. You want to be quickly getting new characters onto the board before the next battle starts, because you do need 2 characters to be able to successfully beat this second set of enemies. I was able to get a Kayn, which works really well, because it is the same group as the first character that I had. They're both shimmer scales, which will lead us into talking about these certain characteristics and the left side of the board. So as I mentioned, certain characters have certain categories, and when you match up characters with the same category, you can unlock special skills. So here I have 2/3 shimmer scale. What this tells me is that I currently have 2 shimmer scale, and if I get to 3, my next bonus will unlock, which is 1 unique special item. I also have 1 of 3 Rage Wings, which are unique characters that instead of gaining mana, gain Rage. This is a little bit of a more advanced category that I would probably avoid as a new character, but you'll pick up rather quickly. I also have 1 of 2 Warriors and 1 of 2 Assassins. You're going to want to pay attention to what this list says is how far you're away from certain traits unlocking. As you're purchasing new characters, you're going to want to check what their tags are to see if there's any overlap. So as the timer ran out at the top, a new wave of enemies spawned and my guys leapt into action. Assassins jump from the back into the enemy backline and then begin attacking the vulnerable units in the back, which is very useful. And he can do a blade rush, which does a decent amount of damage. Killing these guys dropped a new question mark, so I'm going to go grab that, and that gave me a new item. That new item is the BF Sword. So the BF Sword is a attack damage increasing item. There are 2 types of items, basic items and combined items. So basic items will give you 1 stat with a small number, and then combining items will give usually a combination of the stats of the 2 items, plus some kind of unique bonus. Every unique pair of items from the basic list creates a different unique combined item. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize all of the combinations. There will be a couple that I am going to recommend you get used to seeing. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time right-clicking on item components to see what they create and hovering over things just to see what they do. In this case, mixing the BF Sword with the Negatron Cloak, you get 10 attack, 20 magic resist, 25% Omnivamp, which means all of my attacks will heal me, and then once per combat at 40% health, gain a 25% maximum health shield that lasts for 5 seconds. This is fantastic for frontline bruisers or for high damage backliners that do a lot of physical damage. As Aatrox does a lot of physical damage and wants to heal quite a bit, I'm going to give it to him. You can always right click on your character to check out what items they currently have and how they're interacting with each other. So I currently have 2 shimmer scales, and I'm looking down at the shop and there aren't any other shimmer scales or any of the other mixes that I'm looking for, so I just let this next one play out. I knew the 2 guys that I have would be able to beat what I currently am up against, and so I wasn't worried about losing. This is the last match of basic enemies before you start fighting your opponents or opposing players. In this season, right before the first match, this comes up. So this will give you an option of 3 special traits that you can apply to your army. The traits can come either in silver, gold, or rainbow quality, and then there will be 3 random ones. You can hit the refresh button to change what's available if you don't like what's currently there, which will cost you 1 gold. This can give you quite a bit of an advantage if you're looking for specific augments, but I usually kind of just live with whatever I get and try and move towards what currently comes up. I don't make any big decisions in my team until I see this first set, and really I don't make any huge decisions until I have all of these. You get 3 per match, and they can really affect how the game goes. So on the left, I have Reckless Spending. If I both Shop Refresh and XP Refresh in a single match, so spend 6 gold, all of my Shimmer Scales will deal 50% more damage. It'll also give me a bonus Kayn. I could instead take Cybernetic Uplink, which would give my characters that currently have an item 200 extra health and 3 bonus mana per second. My last option is to get a Scale Scorn Crest, as well as a Braum. So that is one of the unique categories, the scale scorns, and then Braum is a defensive frontliner character that can absorb a lot of damage. The scale scorn crest will allow you to make a character that is not currently a scale scorn into a scale scorn to give you those scale scorn bonuses. All of the different character options listed on the left, the different categories, have a crest version that you can get in various ways throughout the game, and getting those crests can allow you to expand your army's versatility without needing specific characters. So I was kind of feeling like having a scale scorn game this time, and I already had 2, so I grabbed the reckless spending just to play around with it. I'd never used it before. So that gave me an orb from the previous fight, and then that bonus cane, which I can put into play. I also gained 2 extra characters, a Lee Sin and a Swain. So those are both Dragonmancers, which might be something I have to consider, but I'm not currently going to use them. It's very common at this point to buy an XP boost, which will push you up to the next level. So I can spend 4, gaining me an extra slot, and then I'm going to grab one of these characters to make sure I currently have 4 on the board. This will just give me a slight advantage if my opponent did not decide to do that. There was nothing really in the shop here that I wanted, so I decided not to buy anything, and I could have hit the refresh, but I don't have enough gold to really take advantage of that, so I was going to wait it out. My assassins split up onto either of the backliners, and then my bruisers focused in on their frontliner. This worked really well, and I was able to clean them up. You can always right-click on the enemy's dragon head to see what bonus they got. They took the Sunfire board, which makes it so that my units heal less, and for the first 15 seconds of the match, they take 10% of their maximum HP as damage. Upon defeating another player, you boom them with your blast, and you reduce their current hit points. On the right-hand side, you can see all the hit points of the current players listed out in order, and you will be marked in gold. I am currently at 100% and at the top. So on this shop refresh, a Lee Sin appeared on the shop, and I currently have a Lee Sin, so I can see it glowing. But I'm more interested in the Volibear, because it is also a Shimmer Scale. So if I put him into play, I activate that Shimmer Scale bonus that I was looking for. So now I get one unique special item, the Draven's Axe, which will give you 1 attack damage per gold you have in your bank. So I could give this to a character and increase their attack damage currently by 6, which isn't very much, but that will go up quite a bit as you make more gold. I'm going to give this to, I think actually Volibear. Maybe Kayn. Kayn is my assassin, goes to the backline, but Volibear is really strong, so I'm going to give it to him. Hopefully I can get some other items that will augment Volibear to work really well with the Draven Axe. In this next fight, the enemy's Revel team really wrecked me. I just got absolutely torn apart, but that happens, and you're not going to win every match. Sometimes your enemy is going to have a team that counters yours really well, or they might just be at a better part in their build than you are, and you just have to accept that. Eventually you will hopefully build up through the ranks and have a really strong team into the late game. So here I'm kind of thinking about the fact that I have a Dragonmancer Lee Sin. I'm at 1 out of 3 in Dragonmancer, and I also have Swain, who is a Dragonmancer. So I could come pretty close to both activating Ragewing and Dragonmancer if I got a couple more of these characters onto the board. So I was debating getting Lee Sin, but I decided I'm not going to go that Dragonmancer route, and I sold him to try and get a little bit more gold. I'm holding on to this little green item here on the left. This is a character copier, and if you use it on somebody, you get a duplicate of whatever they are. A level 1 version. So you can really use that to get a strong character that you have 2 of, a third to upgrade the star level. Usually I try and use this thing to upgrade somebody that's really strong, like a blue or purple character, all the way up to gold. I use it as like the last piece to get the 3-star gold upgrade, and really hoping to hold on to this for some lucky time later in the game. I've also been forgetting to use Reckless Spending here, which is really unfortunate because it gives a boost to all of my Shimmer Scales. So if I buy a refresh and a XP in a match, I can get that 50% boost, which might make me win these games that I'm not winning. This next match goes very heavily in my favor. My team just works out really well. I go to the backline and wipe out their stronger backline units, and my Aatrox is able to tank on all of the damage needed until I'm able to wipe them for some damage. So if you look at the turn tracker at the top, it gives quite a bit of useful information. First, it says my previous match score, so I won, and then red X means I lost. Now the gold X is the current turn. I can see next is a flower pattern symbol, that tells me that it's going to be another random draw event. So we're going to get that circle, and we're going to be able to go and grab a new character. There will then be 2 more battles against other players, and then a battle against some NPC called the Krugs. So this kind of gives you a sense of what's coming up next. It also shows you when the next round is going to end or begin, so it's showing me it's going to end very shortly, as well as it gives you a countdown of how many seconds remain for the absolute maximum time limit before the next speed up happens. During a match, if you run out of time, it now then speeds up all auto attacks while keeping all other things around the same to try and speed up the match, eliminating tanky healing characters by allowing damage characters to do significantly more damage and hopefully wrap up the fight. Alright, so here we're going to go into the draft, and how the draft is going to work is we're going to all be in the circle again, but the lowest 2 players are going to be released first, and they're going to be able to go and find what characters around this ring that they want. You're going to have to start getting familiar with characters to really be good at this phase, but for the most part, again, as a new player, you're just going to kind of try and grab a high tier, so like blue or something character, or look for a specific item that you're looking for. Here, I really wanted this, the recurve bow, because it gives 10% attack speed, and it builds into some of the best items in the game. This is definitely an item you want to be picking up if you see it, and you want to get that thing on your bench if you can. So I'm going to hold on to that for the future in case I get some of the parts that turn it into a good item, but right now I don't really have anything to go with it. I was looking at my income here, kind of looking at my interest rates. I will gain 8 gold, so I'll go up to 30, so I don't really want to buy anything, and there's nothing here that I really want to buy. So let's speed up the game a little bit, and we're just going to talk about a couple of extra things that you'll need to know to get into the, nitty-gritty of the game for your first couple of matches, and we'll wrap this up. So as I said before, you don't have to win every match, and you're not going to win every match, but you want to have some strategy towards what you're doing. One thing I tend to do is that I build up my interest up to 50 gold as quickly as I can. I try not to spend very much in these early stages. I don't hit refresh, and I don't hit buy XP very often. I'll try and rearrange my team, like I put these assassins off to the side so they'll jump and hopefully take out together whoever's in the corner there. And if the enemy has their good strong attackers over there, it'll work. In this scenario, it didn't. My attackers were on the other side and ended up getting split up, and I wasn't able to wipe out their team, so they were able to tear me apart. My Volibear did pretty good, but he had quite a few silver characters because he had managed to get 3 copies, which is one thing I haven't managed to do yet in this game. I hadn't had very lucky draws in the shop, and I wasn't hitting refresh. The Krugs are going to show up, and this is a time where a lot of players get messed up. The Krugs are actually extremely strong, and you need to focus down one at a time because the others heal once you've killed one. If you split up your damage too much, the Krugs will actually kill off your guys because they do a decent amount of damage and they heal up and you waste a lot of damage output. So you really need to focus on the Krugs and then rearrange your guys back to where you want them. So here I got the needlessly large rod, and I mixed that with the recurve bow to create Gunzu's Rage Blade, which is one of the best items, making all of your attacks increase your attack speed for the future. This works really well. I also picked up another assassin. Adding it to my team gave me the assassin boost for my cane. I bought experience and also added Swain in, so my team is quite a bit bigger than it was before. Other players are following a very similar playstyle to what I'm doing, so they're going to be keeping up with me, and I wasn't going to get a huge boost there, but it does push me in the direction that I wanted to go. So here's the next random item selection. So level up makes it so whenever you hit that 4 experience button, you gain 7 experience, an additional 3 instead of 4, which is pretty good. You can get high-end shopping. Champions appear as if you were 1 level higher, so that makes that rarity list on the shop go up a little bit, and you'll be able to see purple and orange characters earlier than other players. It also gives you an immediate 10 gold for early shopping. The last option is Earth's Bag. This will give you a spatula and 3 random components. Spatula is a very special item, and it mixes with the other unique single items to turn into those crests that I was talking about. So this will allow you to make crests to be able to unlock some of those special traits on the left side. Not all of the crests can be created using the spatula, and some can only be received through special events in the game. I debated over this for a little bit, but then I decided that because I hadn't unlocked very many traits at this point, I wanted to give the Earth a try and try and get this. So I could now unlock Mirage, Guardian, or Dragonmancer. So I refreshed the shop a little bit to get a couple duplicates. I'm still trying to get a silver character that I didn't manage to get, but I did notice that I could get a Dragonmancer emblem, and I have 2 Dragonmancers right now. So I could turn somebody into a Dragonmancer, and I decided to go that route. Dragonmancer is a special group that will empower one of your characters depending on the strength of all of your other Dragonmancers. So that's that blue item that I got and failed to apply at the start of the match. So once this match ends, I'm going to use that onto my Aatrox to... I'm going to use it on Volibear to buff his damage, as he's one of my strongest units. So at this point, I've reached over 50 gold, and I've got the maximum interest rate. So now I'm going to start buying XP gains and shop refreshes to try and find the characters that I want, while still retaining that 5 interest rate. So I did find an Aatrox and was able to upgrade my Aatrox from 1 star to 2 star. I found an additional Aatrox and I got to 51, so I stopped because any other refreshes would drop me below that interest rate. I'm hoping that the buffed up Aatrox will be a better frontliner and I'll be able to resist any incoming damage, but I'm still not very happy with the kind of layout that I've gotten with my team. I should have made different decisions earlier on to have different results, and I kept forgetting to use that buff from the Shimmer Scales to buy a AXP gain and a shop refresh to get that bonus damage. Not using your traits from your dragon is very detrimental, and you're going to find that you're going to get shredded by the enemies if you aren't paying attention at least a little bit to those abilities. At this point, I haven't activated it yet, and it's really helped me back. Going into one more of the random drafts, so I go in here and I see that there is a Swain that has a spatula, and I rush in and grab that because I have another Swain, and getting a bonus spatula, I might be able to unlock another trait. I don't currently have one that I want to unlock, but again, you just kind of get these things hoping for future things to happen. So coming down here, I've got that extra gold, and I gotta buy some refreshes of the shop to try and find characters I want. I'm going towards some Dragonmancer at this point, because the Shimmer Scales just haven't been coming up for me. So I bought Lee Sin, which I sold previously, to try and get another Dragonmancer, and I'm starting to shift my focus. You can definitely change what direction you're going mid-game. As long as you have the gold to be able to pay for new units, it's not that big of a deal to make any swaps. I'm going to have a little bit of a rough time for a little while, but I was hoping to be able to get a little bit more focus in my build and a little bit of a stronger build, because the Shimmer Scales, again, just didn't come up in my shop at all, and that could just be an unlucky thing that happens. I did manage to get my Volibear to 3-star, and I thought about buying this extra Diana, but I was looking at it and I'm like, Diana really isn't a core of my group, and so I'm going to skip out on buying her. I was checking out the skills on Volibear. I was really thinking that he should have been doing more damage, but he kept getting focused down really hard, and it's because I didn't have any tanks. I had a couple bruisers, but I didn't have any guardians, cavaliers, or any of the other really strong frontliners. So I decided to go a little bit desperate here, and I threw on extra damage onto Volibear and some lifesteal, really hoping he'll survive. I gained a couple canes, and I shop refreshed quite a bit, trying to bulk up my team. We fight the wolves at this point. They're pretty easy, but they can wreck you if you have too many guys in the back that are too easy to kill. I get a couple more items, looking at them. Nothing's really coming up that I want. I decide to get a Zephyr to try and CC an enemy, and I get a Giant's Belt to increase Kane's damage output. I tried to get that Swain there to upgrade my Swain to silver, but I didn't buy it in time, and if you don't buy it in time, you have to wait until the current match finishes before it will give that upgrade. And I'm slowly whittled down to the point that I'm defeated. Your first couple of games are definitely going to go like this. You're going to end in the bottom a little bit as you're not really sure what's going on, or things just aren't really working out the way you were hoping to. Players like me, I get first place or second place quite often, but sometimes just the things don't roll out in your favor and you end up having a weaker team than you were hoping for. I was getting a bunch of shop refreshes and jumping all over the place with my build. I got some 3-star guys or 2-star guys sitting on my bench waiting to become 3-star, and they just stayed there because the shop didn't line up the way I wanted to. And with the way that I play waiting so late, sometimes the shop is not going to have the characters you want anymore because other players bought them. And that's the thing to think about. There are only so many of each character ever available, and if you're buying the same character another character is, or another player is, they might make it so that you can't get your gold version or even silver version because they purchased up all of the other copies. So I know a game where the person you're watching loses isn't the greatest example of, getting good at a game, but it is just a realistic example of this game. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and you just have to be accepting of the fact that some games don't go in your favor. I really hope you guys enjoyed my how to play Teamfight Tactics, and I hope you'll join me for the next episode, which is going to talk more about strategies and things to know about the game to get more likely to win rather than more likely to lose. So until next time.